Hello there, everyone. Good morning. It is a soggy, wet day here in Central Texas, but hopefully it's nice weather where you are today. So we will jump right in and make sure we're all situated here. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. My name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And all of that means that I love working with people who are looking to up level their professional selves, whether it's in their career or in their business. And they know they need some extra support to be more empowered, to be a better advocate for themselves, and or ultimately to make sure that they are leveraging the professional relationships that they need in order to achieve their next level goals, but to be able to do so in a very authentic and purposeful way. So if you are interested in any of those things, I would love to have an additional chat with you. Meanwhile, we are going to start here with Coffee Time Career Chat, where we are getting to start our harvest time conversation. I love this time of the year because this feeds into one of my favorite challenges that I've been doing for, 4 or 5 years now. And so I decided, in November to kind of focus on it, give you a little taste of what that's like moving forward. But next week, mark your calendars, is the Harvest Time Career Challenge, the Harvest Time Challenge that you will be able to participate in for free. So if you're interested, make sure and DM me. I look for the link. And basically, here's the premise of the whole thing. As we move into naturally the end of the season, the end of the year, and here in the States, we're getting ready to enter into the holiday season with Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of those great things. One of the things that comes naturally as well during the fall season, when it comes to, making a harvesting the things that have been planted throughout the year, in order to be able to bring together, great food, great opportunities, and to move us through the next season. So I decided a few years ago to do that in the form of some career development, some professional development, and talking about your harvest and your harvest time, and utilizing this time of the year to do so. Now, anyone who knows a little bit more, if you go study a little bit more, like there's harvest time seasons are happening throughout the year, right? Most commonly in the fall and the spring, but there's seasonal, there's seasonal harvests. So this can be done at any time during the year because there's always something that is going to be ripe for the picking, ripe for fresh opportunities, just like it is out in the marketplace. This is how we're able to sustain and have our, when we're doing it in the natural way, right? Not those artificial things, but when we have our fruits and vegetables all year long, because somewhere in the world, it's harvest time. So here's the thing is we're going to be talking about that this month, specifically during coffee time on Mondays. And then I think on Wednesdays, I said, because we started it last week, right? Wednesdays in November this month, we are going to be chit-chatting about, gratitude. That's right. Networking and our gratitude and making sure that we show appreciation to our professional networks. Okay. So those are the things for this month. And if you're wondering where we're headed in December is the gift to me is to get some time off. So, but you will still get coffee time because I will pull some things out of the video vault and make sure that you have good, solid content for the entire month of December. Okay. So that's where we're headed moving into this holiday season. And I'm looking forward to following up with you. All right. So today we are talking about harvest time. And the first thing we got to talk about is planting. And you would say, but if we're doing harvest out, it's like, here's the thing. There's an assumption that there was a planting at some point in time that then reflects on your ability to and make investments in yourself, whether it's time and resources, and how those things come to fruition when it's time to start saying, okay, what is out there around me that I need to now make sure that I connect with, pull, harvest. Okay. So we're starting there because the other thing is, just as you may be harvesting some opportunities right now in the next few weeks, you are also going to have the opportunity to plant fresh seeds, right, from your harvest that will then be harvested in a couple of months as well. So remember, if this is a cycle we're talking about, and we're just going to jump in, we're going to jump in at the planting and the harvesting kind of dual at the same time and move forward from there, because I want you to get into the habit of thinking about this in a very cyclical way, because this is how you feed and nurture your network, your professional relationships, your efforts, right? Your career and business efforts all year long, right? It's not a one and done. If you don't know anything else, if you don't learn anything else, this is never a one and done situation. Okay. So here's one of the things. Before there's a harvest, there must be a planting. I've said that, right? Someone had to have done some work in order to plant some seeds, to then grow them and nurture them and all of that. And that's what we're about to talk about here. In terms of your career, your profession, your business, you had to put in something, right? Whether you invested time into a project, whether you invested time into your people, your employees, your support network, whatever, whether you invested resources, which can include money, more time, because time is a resource. It's a very valuable one. But money or materials or access to certain things, all of these things that can add up to an investment are part of your planting. And so one of the things that we'll talk about during the challenge, and I will ask you to do, is to go back and look at what is it that you invested in over the course of the year? What did you put time and effort into? Because those are the things we're going to look to see what came out of that, right? Here's the thing. There's, again, a few presumptions that we're going to backtrack onto. The first thing, for those of you who don't know, I used to be a pretty good gardener. I've not been a good gardener in a couple of years because I really haven't been practicing well. So I got to get back in the swing of things. But here's one of the key things. Whether you are using seeds that are coming from a plant that you've already grown yourself, or whether you are purchasing them, the first thing you have to know is that you have a good seed. You have to know that you have a healthy seed. If you don't have healthy seeds, you're not going to have a healthy plant or harvest, right? Because they're literally either not going to grow, they're not going to grow, or they may grow some, but then something happens. All right. So you always want to make sure you have some healthy seeds. So when you're growing plants and things like that, this is why when you get like a seed packet and they're saying, plant, 12 seeds, you're like, but I only want 1 or 2 plants. Here's the thing. Even though these seeds may have been screened and they may not all take. And here's your first lesson when it comes to building out your professional relationships and your professional opportunities, is you need to lay the groundwork for way more things to take root than you may think that you can handle right now, because everything is not going to take root. So here's the first, I hear all the time, people go to one networking event, they go to one activity, and they're like, yeah, that really wasn't worth my time and nothing came of it. You did one thing. If you that's literally called putting all your eggs into one basket. And if nothing happens, then you say, well, that didn't work. No, it's not that it didn't work. You didn't work. Because you can't put all your eggs in one basket and expect the world to come show up at your front door with all these great opportunities and all these things to come to pass. This is why I'm always saying you're planting seeds every day. Okay. You're going to an event, you're making a phone call, you're accepting a phone call, you're sending some information to someone. You're like, oh, I thought about this. Patricia would really be interested in this. Let me send that to her. Okay. Every time you take some action like that, you are planting a seed in your professional network, with your business, with your career, that can pay off in sometime in the future. Sometimes you may know, other times you do not, but that doesn't mean you don't put forth the effort. Okay. So you have to plant a row of seeds, not just one, when it comes to developing who you are, what you want to be. So, perfect example. If you know that you need to work on your skill development in a certain thing. Let's just use public speaking as an example. You know you're not comfortable with it, and so you really need to work on it. If you went out and did one, 10-minute speech at some event or making a presentation, you're like, oh, that was horrible. That didn't work. I'm not going to do it again. That's not enough time. You haven't invested in much. You're just getting started. But if you keep practicing, if you keep seeking opportunities, if you keep planting them, you will be amazed at what comes back to help you, to support you, to get you to the next level. And you're like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Okay. I've seen it happen way too often, not just with myself, but with those that I work with, where you just have to, sometimes it's that you hate that word, but that plotting, like literally just keep going. And there are ways to make it fun and all of that. But the point is to be consistent and to do the work over time. Okay. Because it doesn't just happen overnight, which gets us to the second thing. So you got to plant some healthy seeds. Secondly, you got to know the care that's required, right? You got to know what's going to be required. So again, just keeping with our analogy, on the back of that little seed packet, it'll say, water every day for the first, 5 or 6 days, minimum water, this kind of soil, whatever, all of those things, all those instructions. The instructions are there to help make sure that you can produce healthy seeds that will take care of healthy seeds that will produce a healthy plant that hopefully will produce something that you can harvest down the road. Same thing goes for your professional relationship building and for your career, your business. Okay. It takes time. It takes care. And if you're not paying attention to the level of care or maintenance that may be required, and we'll talk more about maintenance in the coming weeks, but if you're not even aware of the amount of care that it's going to take, then you're already behind the 8 ball. Okay. You're already behind. Because one of the things you need to be aware of is to say, okay, if I know that ultimately I want to be able to speak at X event in 12 months, but I have to lay these seeds moving forward. So I can, number one, what's a seed? Letting people know, hey, I'm interested in speaking. All right. So that's a seed. Then you've got to go follow up and let's say start looking for opportunities to do that and showing up, right? And talking to more people. And then let's say someone says, hey, you know what? We may need a speaker for this event. I'd love to talk to you some more about that. First thing, maintenance that's got it done, you have to follow up. You have to make the phone call. You have to find out what it is they're looking for. What is it that they want to do? What do you need to do in order to be prepared to be considered for this opportunity? And then staying on top of it. There have been any number of times when I have gone after something and thinking, oh, it was going to be a quicker one. And then it wasn't. But then literally 6, 9, 12 months later, they're like, yeah, Patricia, we need you to come speak today, or at this thing in a month. Can you do it? I planted that seed months ago. Doing that follow-up email. Hey, I'm still here. If you need anything, let me know. Okay. This is the daily grind. I really hate that word. I really hate that grind word, but sometimes it is. And it's just, like I said, it's that plodding along. It's doing the thing, acknowledging that it needs to be done, do it, and move on. Because as you're putting investments into that pot of yours, you're investing into it, you're watering that soil, you are making sure you're getting enough sunlight and water, and the soil is good, right? And you want to do all of those things because building those relationships, building up those opportunities that will bring forth something later requires effort, and you have to know the care that's required. Everybody doesn't require the same amount of care. There are some people that I talk with that I may talk to 2, 3, 4 times a year. And when I catch up with them, we're good, we're square. There are others, like we either just getting to know each other, or maybe they require a little more attention because they're so busy. So maybe I'm talking to them, twice a month, or I'm reaching out or whatever. That's what I mean about knowing what care is required. For the goal that you have in mind, you need to know what is it you're going to need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to achieve that goal down the road. Does it always happen? No. But is it more likely to happen if you're prepared and you're doing the work? Yes. Okay. Okay. Y'all see me with my new obsession with my new coffee. I love this coffee. Okay. All right. So we've talked about planting those healthy seeds. We've talked about knowing the care that's required. And lastly, but not least, you got to be willing to do the work. Plain and simple. You got to be willing to do the work. And this is where many people fall down. Literally in real life when it comes to gardening, and in our professional lives as well. In real life, when it comes to gardening, people who thought, oh, I'm just going to plant this thing and it's going to be perfect and it's going to be lovely, and boom. And it's like, yeah, no, it's not how it works. Like, you have to make sure it's getting the right light. You have to move it if it's too much, because you don't want it to scorch your new baby plant. So you've got to move it, or you've got to say, oh my gosh, I forgot to water my plant. It's starting to die. And this means you're doing the work daily, weekly, monthly, putting in the effort that it's going to take. So we just talked about knowing the care that's required. Now we're talking about doing and taking action on what you know. So when you bring that home to what you're talking about for your professional, your business, those projects, those goals, those opportunities, you got to do the work. You can't just look up 3 months later and say, oh my gosh, why didn't they call me back? Did you lay the groundwork for them? Did you stay in touch? Did you check in on a regular basis? Right? What did you do to feed the process? What did you do with your time and your resources so that you could create a space that will bring forth a healthy opportunity that you will be able to harvest at some point in the future? Okay? You have to be willing to do the work. It's tiring. I know this. It can be hard, or it can just be boring, right? It's like, this is not exciting. Guess what? Everything doesn't have to be exciting in order for you to get to that opportunity. The excitement comes when you finally get to, go harvest that opportunity. You're like, yes. But doing that daily work, it's not the exciting part, but it's the work that has to be done in order to get to that point. Okay. So this is one of those things where the consistency piece really pays off. This is for those of you who follow me know, I have a 30-day consistency journal that I haven't put out there in a minute, but it was a challenge that I developed into a journal as well. Regardless, not just on Professional Network, but just if you need to be more consistent with any of your work that you're doing, any of your efforts, that it's what I used when I was like, I need to be more consistent in my business about X, especially at the beginning when I wasn't really comfortable being visible all the time online. So I created that, right? There's also the 30-day networking consistency challenge, which is directly directed at specifically networking, building those professional relationships. So there are opportunities. You can't say, well, I don't know, I don't have, like, I've just named 2 of my own, right? And if those don't work for you, we can find something else. But the point is, you have to do the work. You have to be consistent in doing it. And don't beat yourself up. We all fall by the wayside. Things happen. Life happens. So if you fall by the wayside, you're like, oh, rats. Okay, where am I now? What do I need to do in order to get back on track? And then just do that. Okay. Don't use getting distracted or getting off track as an excuse to just ditch the whole entire process. Don't do it. You would be surprised at how many times you can salvage a situation, an opportunity, and nurse it back to health in order to achieve the long-term goal. I've done it with plants. I've done it with opportunities. Okay. It can be done, but it does require getting refocused, getting consistent, and then doing whatever it takes in order to maintain that effort and that care in order to get to the point that you want to get to. Okay. So there we are. I know some of this may seem a little too woo for folks, and I may have overdone that harvest time analogy, but guess what? That's what you're going to get all month. So sorry. It works, and there's a reason for it. But I invite you to join the challenge. It's really like I said, one of my favorites, and it's a great one. And this may be one of the last times that you get to join in for free. I don't know, because there are several of these challenges and things that have developed so much over the course of the few years that they're now basically turning into mini courses. And so that's how I'm going to start treating them in 2023. So I encourage you to come check it out, to join in. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take effort in order for you to get something out of it. Okay. If you have any questions, I am here as always. I invite you to come, DM me, message me, email me, whatever. I would love to have a chit chat with you, and to remind you all that as we approach the end of this year, it is time to get on the stick and lay out your direction and where you want to go and what you want to do in 2023. I have already started working with some folks. I'm super excited about it. I'm getting to work with some folks again on public speaking goals. I love that stuff. So whatever it is, if you, particularly you women out there who are looking to up level in your careers and you need a comprehensive approach to creating the career, creating the business that you want, I want to talk to you. All right. Because this is not just solo one thing or whatever. This is about you in your entirety and being empowered in order to approach new opportunities, old opportunities in a new way, but at a whole other level. And that's what I'm excited about working with people on in the coming year. So you'll be hearing lots more about those opportunities as well, and happy to have a chit chat with you. I hope all is well. Have a fantastic week, everyone. And we will see you on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.